Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. We've got over 800 of these available for your listening pleasure in a variety of topics. Would love to connect with you if you're looking for coaching in the area of relationships, in the area of emotional mastery, mental mastery, and all other points in between. A couple ways you can reach out. You can reach out through at PO Perception on Twitter or the About Me section of this YouTube page. Either way will get you where you need to be. So the idea is of this particular audio is don't stress. People bring stress upon themselves, and stress really is a desire for control amplified into a fixation. So the idea there is when we stress out, there is a choice component to it. So if we are willing to make different choices about where we allow our minds to go, we in fact will have a better life experience. So there's a few things it's not worth stressing out over. One is a person's viewpoint. So obviously we communicate in order to have commonality. Obviously we communicate in order to build rapport with other people and to feel like we belong somewhere. But you're not going to belong everywhere. So the reality of fixating on someone disagreeing with you is actually quite silly, because just because you don't find agreement doesn't mean you won't find it anywhere in the world, and just because the person you want to agree with you doesn't mean you're going to convert them or convince them by being persistent. So finding a way to learn tolerance of other people's viewpoints and then evaluate if the relationship is valuable to you enough to be in relationship with them having major difference of viewpoint. Many times it is, sometimes it's not. It depends if it's a boundary issue or a preference issue, which I've talked about in other audios, but the idea being simply a boundary issue is something where I don't want this thing to be broken. A preference issue is, here is my preference, here's what I would prefer, but it doesn't really matter if I get my way on having someone agree with me on this particular issue. Next is relationships. So often people stress over relationships. Does this person like me? Is this relationship going to work out? Am I going to get married? Am I going to move in with this person? Am I going to have a future with this person? And the reality is, if it's not naturally flowing and you need to ask that conversation or have that conversation internally consistently, chances are the level of compatibility to make the relationship last is significantly lower than we'd like for it to be. It doesn't necessarily mean stop trying, but putting complete focus on something that isn't going according to plan in that regard is often quite silly, quite foolish, and a waste of time and energy. It doesn't necessarily mean we can't do it, but it often does mean that in doing it, we're not going to gain what we think we are, and ultimately, we're not going to get anywhere. Fixation on the past is another major problem for people. The past is something we cannot change. The future is something yet to be co-created through the actions we take or don't take and the beliefs we hold or don't hold. So, fixation on the past becomes problematic because there's absolutely nothing we can do about the past from our present moment that is going to change things. Obviously, we have a memory for a reason. We have a memory for the ability to reflect, learn, and grow. But when we fixate on the past and stress out over it, we actually lose time, lose energy, and lose value. The next is negative emotions. Emotions are just indicators of things that either A, if they're negative, need to change, B, if they're positive, need to be focused on further. Expanding the positive and altering the negative is a very simplistic view of emotional mastery. So finding a way to get to a place where you are coming to a better understanding can be extremely valuable for a number of reasons. The next is the power of belief. When you understand that many of your beliefs have been influenced by others, and they may not even be things that you hold to be true or false in your own life, it's more just this is what I was told, so therefore this is what I believe, then it becomes easier to change beliefs and or alter beliefs that aren't working for you any longer or aren't leading you in a positive direction. Obviously, there is no one universal way to believe that ultimately is going to lead a person to make the best decision ever, but at the end of the day, understanding how to kind of move forward is one of the most important things that we can do in a meaningful way. And yet, understanding that you don't have to necessarily be in the best position at all times is also important here. The next thing, and actually the final thing in this particular audio, is understanding that the power of belief is something that is often controlled by other people. It doesn't necessarily mean that control is good or bad, but when you understand that your beliefs may be influenced, you can then choose whether you want that influence to continue. In any event, we will be back with more right after this.